High-level overview. In this episode of the School of Greatness, Lewis Howes interviews Guy Raz, acclaimed journalist, host of How I Built This, and author of the book by the same name, to unpack the true essence of entrepreneurship. With decades of storytelling experience and thousands of conversations with founders, Guy shares the real traits behind success: resilience, rejection tolerance, curiosity, mission over money, and a willingness to embrace failure as fuel. This conversation is a blend of honest insight, practical takeaways, and personal reflections on leadership, fear, family, and identity. This is a conversation that swings between raw personal experiences and entrepreneurial wisdom, merging storytelling, emotional resilience, and battle-tested insights from iconic founders. This is a summary of An Entrepreneur's Guide to Success with Guy Raz from the School of Greatness podcast, where we break down the key insights, ideas, and takeaways from this content, giving you the gist so you can decide if you want the rest. The full summary is available on perfectsummary.com, and you can listen to the podcast Perfect Summary on all major platforms or watch it on YouTube at Official Perfect Summary. Hashtag. The discussion explores why rejection tolerance is the most essential entrepreneurial trait, how failure can often be the redirection toward your greatest success, the myth of the natural-born entrepreneur, and how most traits are learned, the difference between making money and having a mission-driven business, why connection, community, and identity matter more than ever in leadership. Deep dive into main ideas. Rejection is the common thread. Guy Raz distills the #1 trait across every entrepreneur he's interviewed: the ability to withstand rejection. Whether it's Sarah Blakely going door-to-door for years, or Tope Awotona, Calendly, selling home security systems in Georgia, great founders develop a type of rejection exposure therapy. They don't avoid the no. They walk into it repeatedly, knowing a yes will eventually come. Guy emphasizes that this resilience isn't innate, it's trainable. From Mormon missionaries gaining sales skills abroad to kids who used to knock on doors selling chocolate bars, these experiences create the muscle memory needed for entrepreneurial grit. Entrepreneurs are made, not born. While a few outliers like Mark Cuban show early entrepreneurial instinct, Guy believes most successful founders learn how to build. Traits like curiosity, persistence, and strategic risk-taking are acquired over time through action, failure, and feedback. He shares his own story of never identifying as an entrepreneur until necessity forced him to create, and that mirrors the journeys of many founders who started businesses after job loss, transition, or dissatisfaction. From failure to fulfillment. Guy's own failure was not getting the top NPR news anchor job he'd been working toward for decades. That disappointment pushed him into podcasting, a move seen as obscure and even foolish in 2012. But that career pivot became the foundation of How I Built This, now one of the most respected entrepreneurial shows globally. This pattern repeats across founder stories. The biggest letdowns become the birthplace of their most meaningful work. Guy reflects that failure, when reframed, becomes a crucible for clarity and reinvention. Mission, money. When asked if great entrepreneurs are driven by profit or purpose, Guy answers definitively: purpose. He shares that even the wealthiest founders often continue working after major exits because they crave mission, camaraderie, and meaningful contribution, not just cash. Money may offer temporary freedom, but fulfillment comes from building something that matters. This is the emotional engine behind the hardest entrepreneurial moments, when the odds seem stacked and motivation has to come from within. Entrepreneurship is constant iteration. Guy uses the airplane metaphor to describe the business life cycle. The initial takeoff is hard, but staying airborne at 35,000 feet requires continuous adjustment. Challenges never vanish, they just change form. Successful entrepreneurs learn to solve problems sequentially, jumping from lily pad to lily pad, rather than trying to master everything at once. He also underscores that the journey doesn't end with success. Business is an ever-evolving process. Even billion-dollar companies like ZocDoc or Airbnb face new struggles that require adaptability and resilience. Curiosity as a superpower. A recurring theme is Guy's belief that curiosity is a choice, not a genetic trait. He describes how becoming a father reignited his sense of awe. His children's questions reminded him how to wonder again, And that's what made him a better interviewer and storyteller. Whether reporting from war zones or interviewing founders, his secret weapon is asking meaningful, simple human questions. Entrepreneurs should embrace this same mindset. Staying curious leads to insight, empathy, and innovation. Identity, leadership, and what truly matters. Guy reflects deeply on the difference between external validation and internal alignment. He admits that not reaching his dream job made him question his worth, but ultimately gave him space to redefine success on his own terms. Today, his identity is rooted not in his professional status, but in being a father. His highest aspiration isn't more media accolades. It's raising kind, grounded, emotionally intelligent children. That reorientation toward values, family, and personal truth shapes everything he does. Guy Raz's conversation is a reminder that entrepreneurship isn't about being flashy or fearless. It's about developing rejection tolerance, aligning with purpose, staying curious, and evolving through failure. The best founders aren't superheroes. They're learners, listeners, and doers who fall down and rise back up over and over again. This episode doesn't just offer a guide to business success. It offers a guide to emotional resilience, leadership grounded in values, and how to live a meaningful life, one small, courageous step at a time. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a summary of An Entrepreneur's Guide to Success with Guy Raz from the School of Greatness podcast. Check the links in the description to get access to more summaries. This summary came from perfectsummary.com, your go-to for podcast recaps, book breakdowns, and video summaries that give you the gist so you can decide if you want the rest. You can listen to the Perfect Summary podcast on all major platforms or watch our content on YouTube at Official Perfect Summary.